Good morning, metalheads, and welcome to another edition of Metal Sanctuary. This episode, we'll be talking about the top 15 debut metal albums. Now, these are not necessarily the most important debut metal albums, but just the best as far as the quality of the material. So, certain bands like Judas Priest, for example, their debut album, although I think it's an underrated record, isn't better than a lot of the other debut albums out there. There are quite a few many really great debut albums, so this was kind of hard to narrow down to 15. I originally actually was going to narrow it down to 10. So anyway, as usual, typically with most top lists I do, I have a few couple honorable mentions. This time, one of them is going to be the Flotsam and Jetsam debut, Doomsday for the Deceiver, which came out in 1986, and it also featured the only album to feature former Metallica bass player Jason Newsted. Newsted wrote all the lyrics, I believe, for that record before he would end up departing. But a really good thrash debut album for Flotsam out of Arizona. A great 9-minute long epic title track, Doomsday for the Deceiver, as well. Good high-pitched vocals, real good raw thrashy sound. Really kind of mirrored what was going on with the Bay Area. Another one I have is 1980, the debut for Ozzy Osbourne's solo career. And the reason why I kind of knocked him down a little bit, I didn't really want to have two that were closely tied, and you'll see what I mean in a little while. But anyways, this is the introduction for most people to Randy Rhoads if they didn't follow the early Quiet Riot years. Classic songs on there like Goodbye to Romance, Crazy Train, Nobo Movies, Mr. Crowley, Suicide Solution. Great record through and through. Alright, getting into the top 15. At number 15, the debut album for Violence, thrash band out of the Bay Area, San Francisco. The album Internal Nightmare. Violence, an underrated band in my opinion, and for most thrash fans. And they are on a couple other lists that I have. A really good, strong debut album for me. I know my buddy Ron would have this one, and probably a couple other ones a little bit higher on the list. But just for my personal taste, I think it's 15th. At number 14, Annihilator's debut album, Alice in Hell. Jeff Waters and Company. He played every instrument, I believe, on this album except for the drums. And what a lot of people would probably consider to be their best record. At number 13, switching gears, putting some death metal into this, some technical death metal, Carl Sanders and Company, the band Nile, their debut, which I believe came out in 1999, Amongst the Catacombs of the Neferka. This is what starts out the thematical stuff for the Egyptian mythology that Nile is best known for. At number 12, Voivod, War and Pain, came out in 1984. This band would eventually do more of a progressive thing once Nothing Face came in to play. At number 11, a little bit more death metal, this time on the New York side with Suffocation, Effigies of the Forgotten. At number 10, Type O Negative, even though it sounds a lot like what a lot of people consider probably the third Carnivore album. It's the first album from the Type O Negative lineup. Slow, deep, and hard. A lot of those Carnivore influences are still in there, but the songs are a lot longer. At number 9, King Diamond, Fatal Portrait. This is his first solo record, put out in 1986, I believe. Half of it being a thematical album, really, and the other half just kind of being songs that stand up by themselves, and also contains my favorite Christmas metal song, No Presents for Christmas. At number 8, Overkill, Feel the Fire. Enough said with that, if you're an Overkill fan. At number 7, the reason why I have this a little lower in the list is because even though I think this record is one of the biggest defining metal records, I don't think is as good as the ones that are going to come up later. Black Sabbath debut record. At number 6, Candlemass. Bring some doom into it. Epicus Doomicus Metallicus. Probably the most important band for the doom genre after Black Sabbath. At number 5, Florida Death Metal. Morbid Angel, Altars of Madness. This is their first appropriate full-length record. At number 4, Testament, The Legacy. This was the band that Steve Zetro Souza was in before departing for Exodus. Everything was written prior to Chuck Billy coming into the band. They were actually originally named The Legacy. There was copyright issues with the band names, so they changed the band name to Testament, named the album The Legacy. Great album. One of the most recognized thrash anthems, Into the Pit. It's on this record. At number 4, probably, in my opinion, the best death metal debut is Scream Bloody Gore from the band Death. At number 2, what I consider to be the best thrash metal album, period, Exodus, Bonded by Blood. And number 1, the debut self-titled Iron Maiden. This would have Paul Di'Anno on vocals, and also Dennis Stratton, the only album that he would appear on guitars. So there are my top 15 metal debut albums. I'd love to see what your list is. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. The next episode I do is going to be really interesting, and I'm not going to put too much out there about that. So until then, stay metal, and God bless.